Just what is it about the Rolex watch brand that gets everyone crazy? Either they love it, they hate it. Obviously some people don't care at all, but let's unpack it a little bit in this video. I come to you wearing my Explorer 40, my newest addition to the collection. Really enjoying this watch. And I'd kind of forgotten just how durable modern day Rolex professional watches are. I think they're actually really good value, but that's a subject for another video. This video is about the essence of the brand. And I watched, maybe you have too, a video by Teddy Baldassare on something like why Rolex, and it was almost like a bit of a love letter to Rolex. And I often find that it kind of polarizes people. Even on this channel, I've had comments of, not for me, but I get it, or I'm not a Rolex fan, I like different brands, and so on and so forth. And then other people are really into it. And I think they do something super special as a brand. There's a lot to it. I've written some notes, and I think let's start with the brand itself, the brand strength. They are one of the top brands on the planet right now. Brand recognition, everybody kind of sees them. Formula One, tennis, loads of different sporting events, specific ambassadors that you resonate with. And one of my first exposures to Rolex was seeing Roger Federer win Wimbledon. I'd obviously heard of Rolex as a young person, as a teenager, but I didn't really get it, I didn't understand it. And I remember seeing Federer win Wimbledon and pull out of his bag the beautiful Arabic dial Datejust Rolex, put it on and go through this sort of winning ceremony with that. And I remember thinking at the time, like, wow, that watch looks incredible. And it just was the perfect fit for him. You know, he's an elegant guy, he's a sophisticated, great communicator. And it was just like, wow, yeah, that is his watch. He's choosing to wear that watch. Now, I'm sure he's paid a lot of money to wear that watch, but it made it work for me. And then another example I had was one of my clients, my coaching clients, earlier on in my career, in my sort of low 20s, a very successful businessman. He used to wear a deep sea, and it really suited him. Very rugged, very. He's quite a big chap, and I remember thinking at the time, like, that watch looks really good. And he had a lifestyle that I had aspired to. I was not massively into expensive watches then. At the time, I loved watches, but I hadn't connected the dots. And that sowed the seed for Rolex for me. And actually my first ever Rolex was a deep sea. Amazing to think that I've come from like a 44mm, 16mm deep Rolex to a vintage 36mm day date and Cartier tanks, and it's just a completely different spectrum, that. And with this client, we ended up doing some work together in Italy, and I stayed with them, and my wife and his wife became friends, and we went out on his boat one day, and he was wearing a Daytona, the pre-ceramic Panda Daytona. And I remember looking at that watch thinking, wow, that's just another level of elegance. And he was diving, we were swimming in it, and so on and so forth. So it sowed the seeds for me of like, this is what it's all about. And think what Rolex do unbelievably well is appeal to a wide variety of people. When you're growing a business, you often ask the question like, who is it for? Who is this product for? And you come up with the person it's for. So for example, if you're, I don't know, creating a deck chair, I've got one next to me here, and you're reinventing that, who is it for? It's for the person that wants ultimate comfort, for example. If you're creating a new backpack and you want to put that out to the market, who is it for? Is it for the person who goes camping and lives out in the wild and needs all this other stuff? Is it for the city commuter that is needing elegance and style as well as durability? You know, who is it for? And the thing with Rolex is they actually have lots of different groups of people that they're for. And you see that in forums, in communities, in discussion groups. For example, the Explorer 40 has a cult following. And strangely, people who on YouTube and other places who like the Explorer, they tend to not be the people that also like the Daytona. The Explorer crowd tend to be more of a kind of anti-bling, rugged, but still they love Rolex. I've always struggled to figure that one out. I do actually get it, because the watch is a really special watch for different reasons. But yeah, it's sort of like, we hate the Daytona, but we love the Explorer. And there's almost that strange positioning there. The Daytona is very different. I've got a good friend in London, different to anybody else I've mentioned before. And he has a Datejust, he's got a Pepsi, an old one. But when he puts the Daytona on, he said to me, he said, like, it's just far too bling for me. And I think when people put a Daytona on, there's a feeling of the Daytona of it being more of a status watch, a bling watch. And I get that, because you've got the rainbow Daytona, you've got all these different variations. But actually, I would argue the basic black dial or white dial Daytona, it's not a massively bling watch. It's probably less bling than a Datejust. It's certainly less bling than a date, but it fits that positioning, and it's an elegant timepiece, and it seems to have its own crowd. And then you've got the kind of modern versus vintage people. The modern sports, bigger presence, 40 mil and almost above, 42, 44. And then you've got the vintage people, you could argue a bit more of an elitist crowd. They're digging deeper, they're looking for it. It feels sometimes there's a bit of snobbery back to, you know, oh, you're not into vintage, you only like modern Rolex. But what I love about the whole brand, and share in the comments your thoughts on this as well, please, is that for me, I love the brand because it's aspirational, but it is actually relatively affordable when you consider alternatives. And you see everyone in society wearing Rolex watches, from top-end celebrities like your Roger Federers and your whoever's, right down to local business people, local executives in the area that are doing well, and everybody and anybody in between. You even get people that get their first Rolex for their 50th birthday, 60th birthday, and it's amazingly meaningful to them. It is just about attainable to start the journey with Rolex. And I think one of the things that works so well for me is because they're not at the same price point of, say, like AP and Patek and some of the brands that are even more than that, they're just really eminently wearable. They're tough, durable, they never break down. I think their quality, the build quality, the engineering is better than other brands at the same price point. I'm not saying they're finishing, I'm not saying they're movements, but the quality of the durability of the pieces beats 95% of other brands at that price point, in my opinion and my experience. You trust the brand, so you can wear the watch for whatever you want. You can jump in the sea and swim with it and you're not worried. You can wear it as a busy, active father with children and not worry. You can't wear a Patek like that. You know, my 7-year-old wrenching it off the wrist. You can't do that, but you can with Rolex. So it has a level of trust that I just don't think you get with some of the other brands. And it is actually a very mass appealing, but yet still aspirational item to own. And the thing is as well is, it's funny that I don't get that many compliments about my Rolex watches, because actually they're kind of boring. They're quite conservative designs. Not many people, maybe if you've got a bright coloured dial, but if you're wearing like a black dial Submariner or an Explorer or a white dial Daytona or something like that, people outside of the watch space don't give a crap what that watch is. And actually I get way more compliments when I'm wearing my bright green strap, green dial IWC, or my Cartier Tank, or many other watches. So Rolex watches don't tend to get complimented. So I often think that if you want compliments, if you want your watch to be noticed, Rolex is actually not the brand to go for, which is obviously controversial because the watch crime and so on and so forth, it's all about Rolex, Patek and AP, but that's only really because of the value and the value retention and people in the space that know what these watches look like. I don't think your next door neighbour or people in the street generally notice them. They actually are quite unassuming, which works for me. I think they polarize people, because when you're in the space and you're into watches, you probably can only see Rolex watches. But I do think that wherever you are on your journey, whether you're new to watches, whether you've been in the game a long time, I still think Rolex does have its place. And in a way, I think they are the best value timepiece you can get, because you can wear it anywhere, it never stops, it never breaks down, or very rarely. And when you're ready to sell it, you probably sell it for more than you paid for it. You know, how many watches actually does that apply to? How many brands in general does that apply to? And there is something special about the feeling you have when you are wearing this brand that is different to many, many other brands out there. I would even say including AP and including Patek and including some of the higher, if you like, higher level brands. There's something different with Rolex. So well done, Mr. Hans Wilsdorf and the rest of the team that have continued to grow this company for so long and do so well. There's never been a brand like it, in my opinion. But what do you think? Let me know in the comments. A bit of a random one, this. Wrote some notes down. I think I've covered all my points. And I'm looking forward to reading your views, your comments. Please hit subscribe and the thumbs up if you like the video. I'll see you in the next one.